Yo, what up? And a big welcome back to Game Changers here on Heroes Manufactured. I'm your host, as always, Addy E, back from Purgatory. I know it's been a while, but I'm here to bring you this very special, I would say, season finale, if you will, closing the chapter on the first. This is the sixth episode now, so closing the chapter on that and starting with a fresh new six for you coming in 2021. And what better way to end it, the first season, than talking about the gigantic, monolithic giant of a title that is Cyberpunk 2077. It's a game that I've been highly anticipating for so long now. It's crazy. And I just can't wait to get into it. And I know it's been a while. I know what you're thinking. It's probably like, hey, Addy E, like, what are you doing? This game came out like 7 weeks ago. You're late to the party. What are you doing? But let me explain. When the game first came out, as you know, there was just a massive controversy with it. It was kind of unplayable depending on what system you were on. There was hordes of bugs and glitches and just all this craziness and all this hatred towards the game. And I really wanted to let that settle down. I wanted everything to calm down before I really came and spoke about the game, because I felt like I really wanted to give this game a shot. I wanted to give it a chance. I didn't want to just dismiss it and return my copy like a lot of other people did, which was cool that they even offered that. But nonetheless, I'm going to cut this intro short. I don't want to make it as long as my beard got. We got Yaron waiting in the wings here, and he's also somebody who has been highly anticipating this game and has some interesting opinions on it that I want to hear. So let's get to it. Yaron, man, what up? Game Changers, we're back, baby.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is and by the way, guys, this is Addy's sixth episode. It's a season finale for Game Changers. Addy always changing the game.
Yes, we up in the production value now with this proper mic. We got the new cam and everything. So get ready. 2021 is gonna have some bomb episodes for you guys.
Yeah, 2021, and now we're entering 2077. So I mean,
exactly into 2077. I like it.
So yeah, I mean, this game is just absolutely amazing. I personally, I get that there's people that are hating, and like many games, there's bugs in the beginning, and it happens. This is one of those games, to me, it reminds me of like No Man's Sky, where people just gave a lot of hate in the first year or so, and then after that, because it was also hyped in its own way. And now people are playing it all over. They've had updates and just tons of DLCs over the years. And now it's become just this other, MMO that everyone's just enjoying and riding on. And I feel like Cyberpunk has that same kind of feel to it, where they're going to put out more DLCs, more fixes. And they already started doing that within the first few weeks, literally. And I just feel like they knew what they were doing, even though some of it, on the marketing, I think towards the end, they were having a bit of issues there. Nothing new in the world of video games, for real. I mean, like, a lot of people know this. So, but yeah, I mean, in terms of Addy, like, for you, what do you see? How did you take it? I mean, just since you started playing this, only a few months ago, right?
Yeah. So basically, my precursor thoughts to, like, before the game came out was, when I first saw it got announced, there was the little game trailer reveal and stuff like that. And then Keanu Reeves jumping on board, more gameplay clips coming out. And the hype train just, I don't know what it was, but got out of control. Like, this game was hyped up to be like the game of our generation. And if you remember on this channel, even I was hyping it up like that too. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I
jumped on the hype train.
It was all about it, man. And the one thing I just want to kind of quickly touch on, Cyberpunk 2077. This is what we're all about, guys. Some great, visuals that I think they started touching on. Like, here you got some of the nomads, that area of the game, which Addy will touch on a little bit. But like, the combat's just amazing. Everything that they've done so far is just incredible. It's gory, it's fun, it's attractive, it's futuristic. It's got some great visuals overall as well. So I mean, to me, and there's things that definitely can be fixed, and there's things that I would have wanted to be changed, but I feel like it's definitely headed in the right direction. So
Yeah, for sure. Like when they were first coming out, I didn't have any reason not to believe that it was gonna be great. You know what I mean? Like the track record that these guys have, CD Projekt Red, they're coming off of Witcher 3, which is like regarded as probably, if not the best RPG ever made. It's 10 out of 10, amazing. It's like the benchmark pretty much for what a good RPG is now.
Yeah.
And if you remember when that game first came out, it was riddled with bugs and glitches as well. I don't know if it's the curse of CD Projekt Red or what, but sadly, you know, there was game crashing bugs, this and that. Maybe not to the extent that Cyberpunk had, and if anything, Witcher didn't really have the same hype. It wasn't built up to the same level, so it probably kind of slid under the radar. But now, whenever you bring up Witcher's name, you don't hear any of that. You hear it's 10 out of 10. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Cyberpunk will follow in the same suit, you know, as its forefather, I guess.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a lot of great things about this game. You know, when you get past some of the bugs and glitches, but yeah, jumping into it now that we've had the game in our hands for a little while, and you know, we've gotten to sit with it, we've gotten to play with it. Before we get into the you know, what's not so desirable, because every video is just covering that, I want to talk about the things that I loved about the game. Because when I first started playing the game, I'm going to tell you, I was addicted to it. Like I was on it. And just first, right off the jump, is like you nailed it when you mentioned there, the overall aesthetic and feel of the game is just perfect. It's A1, second to none. Like they really, you can tell they really tried, and it was very ambitious. The world is just chock full of,
and I think that has to do with game design. I mean, I think the game design, the level design, the building design, the architecture,
the direction as well is incredible. Like,
yeah, it was to a point. You know, they really understood what they wanted to achieve. And listen, as for game design, you know, to me, I give it a way more than 10 out of 10. It's just it's unbelievable in terms of at least the the visuals, the the art direction really of the game is just impressive. So I mean, to me, art is definitely part of the game. If you want to explore that in terms of art direction, but they definitely touched. They hit it. There's no doubt about that. So.
Yeah, for sure. Like the world is just. It's even when you're just walking through, you're going by. I know there's moments in the game when you are like in the passenger seat of a car. During a mission and you're being driven, like you're the person in the passenger seat, you have the option to skip and just get to your destination. This is one of the few games where I've literally never once skipped the ride, because there is always something to see. It's not like a lot of these games where, you know, there's like a cluster of populated like NPCs and then there's like barren landscape like between traveling to destinations. Every single corner and street is filled with life, and they really made the world feel lived in, which I really, really appreciated. I would be driving to my destination, like in the passenger seat, looking out the window and seeing like a drug deal going bad, or like somebody getting mugged, or like somebody like running over somebody. It's insane. You really feel like you're in another world, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the biggest part of the game is that you get to explore. I'm a big explorer when it comes to games. I do like to follow the campaign and follow the missions. In this specific game, I haven't. I've played the main campaign, almost completed it, so I'm not going to reveal anything there. But it's for me, it's more about the exploration. Like I have sessions where all I'm doing is just running wild through the streets, and whether I'm killing people or whether I'm like, it's funny because a lot of people, and I might touch a little bit about a complaint that some people are putting out there, which is to me is kind of a silly complaint, but it touches on this. Some people are saying that it's not like GTA where cops, it's a lot harder with cops. Here you can escape cops, and a lot quicker. Well, it is a futuristic city. It's not set in GTA, in the GTA universe. And to me, I find it believable because in the future probably cops have a lot more things to deal with than just dealing with one criminal. So
yeah,
probably have like 25 100 criminals to deal with, or
It's
that's
insane. Yeah.
exaggerated, but still.
It's like Gotham City, like times a million. Like the things that are going on in the
Oh,
gutters of the streets, and even in the higher up like corporate buildings, like it's insane. They really did a good job of making the lore even have so much depth. Like even the dossiers, like the files that you read, that you pick up throughout the game, you can be walking down the side of a street, see a drug deal go down, whatever, and then you end up getting caught in the middle of it. You have a firefight. You
yeah.
pick up a file from a person, and it's like text messages saying like, "Yo, do you have the money?" Like blah blah blah. Like just a little story. Yeah,
Real.
a whole story based off of these random guys you saw passing on the street and the history of what happened to make this drug deal go bad. Or just like a little example like that. And I found that was really interesting, and it made walking around and just doing nothing make it feel like you were doing something. Like it was crazy.
Oh yeah, because it's like everyone has their own. It's like they have their own personalities and they have their own missions outside of your own. Outside of who you are, which is V in the character, which is he's a great character overall, he or she.
Yeah.
Because it is either a male or female character driven game. The one thing that I love about the game too is the crafting. Like the crafting in the game is amazing. The breaking down character, modeling your character right from the beginning, profiling your character, all that's just absolutely insane. And it's beautiful. Like they really know how to touch on kind of everything in this game. I mean, here's some images of some of the characters that you can find in the game. You can randomly walk and talk to people, and it's just incredible. Like
the character design is definitely something to be proud of as well. Like the really cool thing about this is the technology that is really injected into every living being and inanimated object in the game is so well done. Like it feels real and something that's obtainable. It has like this like Black Mirror sort of vibe aesthetic to it, like where it's like or feeling, I should say, where it's something that you feel like is not too far away. Like people would pull a chip out of their head and then pass to their friend and be like, okay, you'll read this.
Sure.
This is your next job.
I could see this happening in like 50, 60 years from now, easily. We're in 2021. So, I mean, we're looking about between 50 to 60 years roughly in that ballpark. Very much could be a reality, like, and the way that, condos are being built all over, all over everywhere. And they're just, things are becoming more advanced. This definitely feels like the future that we're probably going to be living in on some level. Obviously some things are exaggerated. I wish there would have been some other things in the game. Like one thing for me personally was, the flying cars in the game. Like, I wish you can do that more. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't finished the game, but if you can actually get on a hover bike or something like that, I think that's something that I personally would have wanted to see in the game. Not a biggie for me because it's not like it's the way that the game is designed. It seems like only like the ultra elite and ultra rich can afford, to travel this way. But it does, and I love that separation. And Addy, if you wanted to mention a little bit about that, like some of the different gangs that are in the game and whatnot, I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, for sure. Even right from the get-go of the game, you have a choice of 3 sort of life paths that you can stem from. One being a street kid, so you're like in the gutters of the city, or in pretty much the rough and tough area. You were raised by the streets. And then there's like the nomad, which is you're on the outskirts. You kind of reject the city life. You're not about it. You kind of do your own thing. Don't really have a home. Drift around place to place. And then there's the corpo stem like origin as well, which like you're pretty much have money from like you come from a corporation and you're kind of higher up in the city. So there's different layers that you can play to this game. And let me tell you, they actually mean something. Like it's not just like, oh, this is a fun little backstory. The way this first choice that you make can drastically affect how the game turns out for you and what choices you have. Every time you're speaking to someone, there's different dialogue options. And a lot of the time, you can choose dialogue option based off of something from your background. So I chose the street kid background personally. I found that was really interesting. And it's really cool, like, to because there's a relationship that you form early in the game with a person named Jackie, and he's also a fellow street kid. So I felt like that bond kind of it just added to the bond coming from the same place as him, and it's really cool. Like when you're talking, you're getting a mission from a fixer, which is like basically like the bosses who set up contracts and jobs, and you can say something to somebody based off of my like street kid background. For example, I could be like, oh yeah, like I know this gang. I'm cool with them, so I can like walk in and just deal with them instead of having to sneak around. Like stuff like that, like little stuff like that is just a really nice touch I find that they added to it, and it makes it feel like your choices mean something. And
For sure.
yeah.
And like, you know what, like even outside of just the characters and the way you start the, your path in the game, which feels kind of like Fable in some ways, because it's when you look back at like what Xbox was doing, these things still live till today, like where these like choose your own adventure type games are becoming more of a thing ever these days. One thing I really love about the game, I have to say, is the fact that you can walk into more buildings, more stores, and more areas on a not only on a horizontal level, but on a vertical level in the game, right? So you got like buildings and rooms. I mean, these are just some of this is just some visuals here that I absolutely love in the game. It's got the dark side and it's got the warm side as well. Like
Yeah.
enter an area in the city where everything's happening, and then you can walk into like a nightclub.
Man, yeah. And honestly, it just goes to show exactly what we were talking about earlier with the art direction and design of the game. I just feel like it's so well done to have all like the deep, dark crevices of the map and the polished, hoity-toity parts of the map. And just a quick bit about the clubs here. They really nailed the clubs, man. Like I'm telling you, like I wish that I could like visit some of these places. Like they're insane. They look so fun, so lit. And all these clubs have different themes. Like there's one called the Afterlife. Taken after a morgue. Like it used to be a morgue, and then it got turned into a club. And I think this is actually it here. They have like the bodies dancing in the cryo chamber, like all these bots and stuff like that dancing around the club, and everything looks like a morgue. There's like drawers stacked. There's like this like a smoky kind of hazy, icy feel to it.
Oh no, it's dark and gritty, but it still feels so like it's dark, gritty, sexy. It's wild, right? It's
everything.
I mean, I definitely feel like there's a lot there to the game.
Especially with like the character design and everything. Like you'll meet different fixers with different personalities that look different, and different gangs favor different cyberware and stuff like that. And just to get into like another thing I loved about the game is the fact that they made it so the technology really shines here, and I'm so happy they put in the effort to making it all about the tech, because it's not just pick up a gun and blast. There is so many layers to the combat because of the technology. You can have different implants in your eyes to see different enemies from farther away, or scan buildings in different ways and stuff like that. You can have certain legs that make you take less fall damage, and like gorilla arms that make you punch harder. All these aspects of technology are just, there's so many things you can do with it, and so many different styles of play, which I really appreciated. What about, like, for you, what did you choose to like spec into? Like, how did you make your person? Did you make it more of a gun guy?
I wanted to make him kind of like an interesting hipster. At first, he looked kind of like an average pimp. Yeah. But like, I think at first I had him like, it looked more like a pimp, which was funny. And then eventually he looked more like, I went the street kid route. So he ended up becoming more of like a biker gang member of some sort, but a really like future kid, kind of like biker gang member. So it's my character's evolved quite a bit since I originally started. And that's what's cool about it, is that your character evolves with you. And you don't see many games like that out there where the character actually evolves. Like I think it's the first game where I've seen the character. I mean, again, Fable is another character that does that, but here the character design evolves, right? So it's not just the personality, but it's actually you create personality with cool visuals and imagery. So that's amazing. And then the other thing for me is I think like the environment, the environment of every level, the environment of every part of the game allows you to kind of fit into that, right? So it's there's some really cool aspects to this game. I feel like they've definitely nailed it on the environment, on the characterizations of who V is and how you.
Exactly. And there's so many things to do with V that, no V will be exactly the same as your friends play through, or, somebody you see online. Like I made my V. I made a girl actually to test that out. And then I made her so like a Punisher kind of build. So I was trying to model her after the Punisher, the Marvel Comics character. So I was all about guns and grenades and shooting first, not even asking questions. I would just go in there and blow the place up. And that was really fun. Like I really committed to like, I don't know, the lore of my character, like to had this kind of play style as I was going through the game. So definitely add like another layer. But the gunplay is also, speaking about combat and stuff like that, the gunplay I found it can be kind of a bit, I don't know,
Excessive.
not as I don't know, taste, not as like deep as some of the other games out there. But definitely there are a lot of styles, which I appreciate. Like I loved using tech weapons, and each gun does play differently, which is really good. So like there's tech weapons, machine guns, tech weapons you can charge and they shoot through cover and stuff like that. There's shotguns, of course, all these different styles of play. And the gunplay, it's good. And what I mean by what I said is, I think it has to do with like some things like the frame rate, like external kind of problems, which I'll get into after. But yeah, I really enjoyed the gunplay. I thought it was fun getting the headshots and blowing people's body apart and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you actually, because I find like the game is it's such a large game, and that's why I'm not surprised that there were bugs to begin with, and they already fixed a big portion of that. But now kind of getting into what the issues are with the game, and we're not here to bash it, obviously, because again, we still love this game. I find that it's an amazing game. I personally give it a 9 out of 10 because I think there's obviously room for improvement, but I think for what they've done so far, it's just amazing. But for what you feel like needs improvement, what would you say? What's your opinion, Addy?
So my main gripe with the game, as I'm sure everybody else's is just bugs, glitches, and more bugs. And thankfully, I haven't had some of the experiences that I've seen people online having. My game has crashed, of course, maybe like probably a handful of times. But I've never experienced any game-breaking bugs where like my file gets corrupt or an NPC is not spawning for a quest to progress. Nothing like that, thankfully. The things that I've encountered are like things that like people would clip into each other or sink into the floor or
little bugs, which is kind of annoys you. So
yeah, it kind of takes you out of the cyberpunk feel, right? This game's all about technology, but sadly, on the surface, there's still a lot of shining that needs to be done with it. But getting on more of the bugs and stuff like that, they are working really, really hard. And shouts out to CD Projekt Red or Project CD Red to for committing to this game and really trying to deliver something that is what they had hoped. Because obviously, when the game released, it's not nearly as finished as they thought, even with the delays and such. Which is a whole other reason. There's so much controversy surrounding that, and it's not like these people were intensely working on this game for 7 years and just came out bad. There were so many problems with contracts and a lot of like drama sort of situations that led to the game being in the state that it was. But aside from all that, props to them for really committing to the game and saying like, yo guys, we're here to fix this game and make it as playable as it can be on all platforms. Because that was the main problem, is that it played, depending on what platform you played it on, you had a drastically different experience. If you were playing it on a base model PS4 or Xbox, you were not even playing the game. Like that's how bad.
And the funny thing is, that's how I have been playing it.
Oh my god! Yeah. So if it's a 9 out of 10, if you put it on a PS5 or you put it on even a PC, you're gonna. Oh man, that rating.
I've seen it on both, and you know what? Like I can understand the issues. I've actually experienced a lot of these bugs myself, and I still love the game. So
Mm.
that says a lot, for me personally. But I've had parts where I'm playing a game and I'm trying to kill the last guy in an elevator, and for some reason he's gone off screen. I can't kill him, so I can't end that level, and that's screwed it up for me. However, even with that, and I restarted again, and eventually I was able to figure it out. But through YouTube videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
My biggest query with the game so far, definitely the bugs. Definitely, it's a big part of it. Although I do believe they'll fix it, and eventually things will get figured out there. They have to get the bugs figured out. I mean, that's just kind of like.
And the thing is, it's not like the game at its core is so good, so beautiful.
Oh, sure.
That's not the problem. It's a different
yeah,
story. If the story was trash and like the gameplay was trash, all those things are good. It's just these external problems that.
My other thing is, and I mentioned this to you about a lot of games out there, especially today. There's a lot of people that like first person, a lot of people that like third person. One of the games that I love the most and how they do this is Skyrim, where you can go from first to third person. I feel like this game should have had that as well, and it somewhat does have it. Like when you get into a vehicle or if you go on a bike, you're in third person, right? So
yeah,
you can somewhat experience that. But I also do understand why this game needs a first person perspective because of all the the little things you got to do in each room or each environment. So I mean. There's obviously a logic to it, but I love all these like little side missions and little side tools that you can use.
Oh my god! Yeah,
I mean,
the world is chock full of side quests, which is another thing I appreciate about the game.
For sure.
Yeah, like you could just be walking in a bar and some guy's like, "Hey, like I got a job for you. I need help doing this thing," and then that will spiral into a whole other storyline, which is really cool that I found about the game. That there's I find myself going back and like exploring all the areas, talking to everybody I can to try and find all the like cybermancers or whatever you call them, the mini bosses in the game and stuff. There's just so many cool aspects to do that aren't the main quest. So definitely, if you're thinking of picking up the game, do it and just enjoy it. Go for all the side stuff. Don't just focus on the main campaign because this game really shines outside of the main campaign. To be honest, like there's so many things to do.
For sure.
Yeah, and touching upon the you said you were into like the crafting and the character abilities and stuff like that. That's also a large portion of the game. I chose to spec into like quick hacks and stuff like that because I wanted to really take advantage of the cyberware. Yep. So the way like one person plays the game is completely different than like I haven't personally touched melee weapons, and I feel like I'm missing a large part of the game, which is something good because you don't want it to be the same.
You can come back to it and just try something new. That's what's amazing, and I feel like. Yeah, you're right on that. There's no doubt. I mean, there's so many ways you can play this game. The one thing, like I like to compare because this year a big hype game was that some people may kind of see a similarity to, but I actually I feel like they were trying. It was Watch Dogs Legion. They were trying to like make it this somewhat semi-futuristic British game, but it's like this game, Cyberpunk, everything that you've ever wanted to do in Watch Dogs, and they've done in some of the Watch Dogs, especially number one, you can do here, plus so much more. It's like there's so much more to hacking and into, it actually feels, if there was ever like the ultimate hacking game, right now, I think this is the game that does it, where you can
100%. Like it's what you spec into also shapes how the game turns out because you can be talking to somebody and if you've spec'd into tech enough and they're talking about something tech related, you can jump in and be like, oh yeah, no, I know how to fix that because I've done this, or my it does like a stat check and you can interact with the game like that, as well as like you can do things like get more money from when you're hacking ATMs, little things like that. A little gripe I had with the abilities is a lot of it is more like passive and percentage based. Like a lot of the abilities are like, okay, do more damage, or this does more damage, or this takes less of a cooldown, or this takes more time. Like it's minor things like that. I want to see some abilities that like are okay. I can like shoot a rocket out of like hack something to like all these crazy different abilities that aren't just number based. You know what I mean? Like I want to
Oh,
see
for sure.
something else that maybe that will happen if I spec into the melee stuff with the gorilla arms and the mantis blades and stuff.
But again, that's one aspect, right? Like one other thing that I was going to mention was that if you play this game like just for free roaming, for example, there are so many places that you can find that you wouldn't expect that you found in the game. And like yesterday I was actually playing it and all of a sudden I found this one bar filled with like yakuza looking gang members, and then I just went in and literally killed everyone there, took over the bar, and it was just amazing. It's like I never knew this little place existed. I was like, I've been playing and roaming around so much. I'm like, wow, this is a nice little hidden bar on the corner of somewhere. And it's like they start popping up the more you play. It's weird. It's like,
yeah, definitely. Like every street corner is filled with something, and it seems like I don't know if you found this, but there's some buildings that like seem like they're populated, but you can't really get into as yet. But
they seem like they're going to like. I think it was like building number 7 or 6. I don't remember which one it was, but there's you go to the roof, but you can see that there's a few levels below where you can't really like get in there yet, but it feels like you just need to find a way to access that. I haven't done it yet, so I mean I'm revealing a little bit too much here, but definitely check it out, guys.
Yeah, like the map is gigantic. So for DLC, which speaking about like, things that we hope for the future and stuff, in terms of DLC, which they've announced that they're working on DLC, instead of adding an expansion to the already massive map, like I feel like it would be unnecessary to even add another area. I feel like they've set up a really good skeleton here where they can go in and finish some of these areas and like open up some of these cut off sections, and that can be like that can be a one-off like side job, that can be a fixer's headquarters, something like that. So I feel like they've done something really interesting where they have the structure at least to build upon, and they don't need another island or something to explore or a whole other area.
Now, Addy, I have a question for you. Do you think this game has potential to become a multiplayer in some ways? Like, even though it's not right now.
Ooh. So multiplayer, that brings a really interesting conversation to the table, because with nowadays it's like every game wants to shoehorn multiplayer into it, and that's not a bad thing. We're in an age where we're always trying to connect with our friends to play. We want to be able to play everything with anybody. You know what I mean? It's a good thing, but I feel like some games don't really need it. I feel like there still should be some solely single player experiences, and to be honest, with the trouble that Cyberpunk has had, just struggling to become a successful single player, I feel like we're still years away, if anything, from seeing a multiplayer experience. And I'm not even too sure how that would play in. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Do a job with one of your friends and like, go into do different like gang raids and stuff like that.
Well, I feel like you'd have to definitely take yourself away from the V character experience and kind of reestablish a new realm or at least a new gang where you get to build your own gang but I mean, it's something that would be cool if they ever did down the road on either through a DLC or something. I mean, I could definitely see, like you said, the complexities of it, especially because of how the game is structured right now.
Yeah.
But you never know. It's kind of like GTA Online. It did happen eventually.
That's the thing. And that is probably one of the most successful things in gaming, period. That's what's like breathed life into GTA for 3 generations: PS3, PS4, PS5, same thing with 360, Xbox One Series X. GTA Online single-handedly carried that on its back with that game on its back. Like, it's insane what online can do to a game.
That's why I feel actually like Cyberpunk, it does have the potential. Once these things are fixed, it's there's no doubt. I mean, it feels like GTA already in many ways, but it also feels like its own thing because it's a first person, because it's there's a lot of elements to it that definitely keep it away from GTA, but also make it similar in some ways. I mean, I'm interested to see where it's at in like 3-4 years from now. The game's definitely been fixed, but also has a much wider span of people playing it. I mean, who knows what they're gonna do? it feels like they've definitely put all their eggs into this basket. So I mean,
Yeah, and honestly, I think the payout is there. I think they have something that is truly remarkable and definitely has already gone down in gaming history, but will definitely be something that we look back on for years and years. And it's sort of become like even with all the glitches, the hate, the gaming returns, like they even offered returns. So
yeah, I thought that was nonsense what Sony did personally. I mean, I don't
yeah,
care what
no,
anyone.
that's crazy. Like deciding what people can play and all that. That was a Sony. Shame on you. But I feel like with what they have here, like definitely they're working on something great, and we're gonna look back on it as what it was initially supposed to come out as in the beginning. And if there's any, as I was gonna say, I just remembered what I was gonna say. The even with factoring in the returns and everything, they still sold over 13 million copies, which is crazy. Which is crazy for a game that got this much hate to sell 30 million
Yeah,
copies.
no, it's like you're always gonna get hate, but I mean, they made their money. There's no doubt. I know they lost some shares. The shares went down. Their stocks went down there just before the release when they kept pushing the release dates. But I mean, this was so ambitious. To me, it's like it's a, and I kind of look at it like No Man's Sky in many ways. I like to compare it as a game because No Man's Sky, like I said, had a ton of hate in the beginning. 3 years later, tons of people are playing it. It's been re-released like 2 or 3 times now
Yeah.
with different updates and with major changes where they added multiplayer into the game. They add all these things. I can really see what Cyberpunk's doing, and I think Cyberpunk did that because they realized games are doing this out there. They are. They're kind of like in the Wild West in many ways, and they're trying out things that haven't been done before. So I give them an applaud and pat on the back for everything that they did there.
Yeah.
Because, no one else has done anything to this magnitude.
No, yeah. For in terms of the level of what they were trying to achieve, like I'm trying to think of a game that was just bit off such a big chunk that, and you know what, like it came so close to really achieving it. Like if we've given them the time, because remember the fans were angry at them for
Yeah, which was
delaying the
ridiculous.
game. It was one of those things where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. They were pissed off that they're delaying the game, and then when the game comes out of the state that's not the best, then they're even more mad. So but I understand nowadays you're spending $90 Canadian on a game. Now it's even more. It's $89.99 before tax for PS5 in games. So you are putting an investment here into a piece of entertainment, and you expect it that it's gonna be playable and not have these problems. So I understand. But at the same time, like it's you can't really lambast them for taking their time with it and then get mad when it comes out. So.
And you know what? It's a great game, guys. Like I said, me personally, I give it a 9 out of 10. I know, like society today would probably give it like a, if lucky, a 5 or a 6 out of 10.
Honestly, I'll probably say I'm at an 8. Give me my frames per second, like crisp 60, and I'm gonna definitely push it up to 9. And when DLC comes out,
I'll be honest, on the PS4, and I'm playing it on I guess second gen PS4, but it was it's not as bad. Yes, there are some parts where you fall through a building and you're landing in the middle of nowhere, which I'm sure everyone's experienced right now. But
yeah,
it is a fun game. I have no problem with it. It
is so
fun, yeah. But and it's it's dark, it's sexy, it's fun. It's got punk elements to it. It's got futuristic elements. It's got anything and everything you want in it. I mean.
It's a sci-fi lover's dream, I'm telling you. And if there's a silver lining in the whole controversy, the hate it's got, the bugs, the glitches, it's the memes. There has been some killer memes and clips. And to be honest, I'm happy that this happened just so that can exist. I've died laughing.
It's gonna be like that down the road too, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like just some of the things that I've seen happen in people's games is just so funny, and I feel like it's one of those things in life where you just take a step back, look at it from the outside, and laugh at it. Like, come on, like it's a game at the end of the day, right? It's for our entertainment, and in a way, that's brought me entertainment. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's another angle you can look at it at if you'd like, but yeah, there's definitely multiple sides to this, and the memes are really really strong out there. I definitely suggest checking those out. They're everywhere online, so I'm sure you've seen some of them.
For sure. Well, listen, thanks for having me on your show today, and like I can't wait to see more personally of Cyberpunk. I think it's this is the future of gaming. It's where it's headed, and it's just sheer fun. So, guys, check it out, Cyberpunk 2077.
2077. Check it out, guys. Again, thanks for joining me on another amazing episode of Game Changers. 2021, we back at it. Maybe we're changing the game, man. Come on. Follow me on Instagram at Adam Swagasaurus. I post clips when I'm doing episodes and stuff like that on my story, as well as follow me on social if you'd like. But yeah, it's Game Changers. We're here for 2021. Got some interesting games coming out this year that we're going to cover. Can't wait to do it with you guys. And yeah, we'll see what the future has to hold.
There you go. Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Enjoy.
Peace.